In today's episode of the VARBAR, we will discuss Liverpool versus Chelsea, have a game week 7 review. Tommy Tuchel announced the new England manager and the various interviews that happened during the break.
Hey, guys.
Check complete. Let's head over to the bar.
Yes. And we're back again with another episode of the VARBAR. My name is Andrew, aka Rapping Drew. And I'm in a good mood. You feel me? Dressed in red. Hey, you guys, guys are not dead. Red or dead. You feel me? Shout out my compadres as well, man. Jay to the Mace. How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm dressed in black, but I don't think it really reflects my mood. I just chose black for today. So yeah, I'm
no funeral up in here, Mason, man.
He had that outfit. He had that outfit ready since Friday. Trying to dunk on me, but I'm sorry, man. How you doing, man, Toast?
Yeah, I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Obviously, just fresh off a hot pipe in L, which I'm sure we'll get into later in the show. But hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm good. Let's get into it, bro.
You're good, yeah. All right, man. Strizza can't be with us today. He's not feeling well. Get well soon, Strizza. Hope to see you soon. Obviously a bit of housekeeping. Like, share, subscribe as always. You know, we need it. We need the support. We need your love. We see the love that we're getting. I mean, obviously the audio crew as well. Keep sharing. You feel me? And yeah, man. Let's get into it, man. Let's start with like the game of the game week. Obviously, Liverpool versus Chelsea. At Anfield, big game just wrapped up. It's a good game. If I quickly have to talk about it from a Liverpool perspective, from my point of view, I enjoyed this win, even though I felt like we were on the back foot for a good chunk of this game. If I have to admit, I felt Chelsea, especially in the first 30 minutes, they looked to take control, take a stronghold of our midfield. And in a way, I think it has a lot to do with, what's his name? Soboslai, who I thought was extremely awful today, which left Gravenberg and Jones kind of on the island in the first 30. But I think, you know, once, you know, we got our goal in that particular half, yeah, it kind of looked like there was one way this game was gonna go, and obviously we had another penalty shout afterwards, which got ruled off. Which personally, I'm gonna say it, I don't think it should have been ruled off. I think that was a penalty, to be honest. Yeah, but again, they should have had a penalty as well with Trent stepping on Sancho's toes. I thought that was a penalty as well, to be fair. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good game because I saw a Liverpool that, if this was Klopp, if this was last season, this game would have ended in a draw. But as soon as we scored the 2-1, we took the sting out of the game completely. And I think that's where we exercised control on the game. And even though the game started to become sloppy, no real chances were created on both sides since. Obviously, I think the Nkunku chance at the end, but he didn't really get a touch on it. But other than that, I felt like, you know, yeah, this was a dub for us, man. What did you guys think as neutrals? Not even neutrals, but as Arsenal guys watching this, like, what did you guys think? As hate watchers.
Mace, I'll let you go first, man.
Right. What did I think? Similar to you, I thought Chelsea dominated the midfield. I was very impressed with the pairing of Lavia and Casado. I was very impressed with Lavia. I think I said in the group chat that he's just, the way he moves is so exquisite. I believe at one point Chelsea had like 62% possession, something that mad in the first half. That just shows their domination. I think for really and truly, the way this game ended was Liverpool were just a lot more polished and developed going forward than Chelsea. You can see a team in Chelsea that in their stage 1 of their development. So you just know that at this point in time, what they have isn't enough to compete with Liverpool, even though Liverpool aren't playing the best football. So that was to be expected. The second goal, you can see Chelsea's defense. I think one issue Chelsea has is their defense is pretty bad. No one can tell me Levi Colwill is a good defender in terms of top good defender. He isn't, right? Tosin is okay. But Yashil they brought in later in the second half is useless in my opinion.
He had his best game. He had his best game since Donks, man. To be honest,
he was best game. His best game. Fighting with Nunes. That's all I saw throughout that. If that's the level in which you're playing it, boy, please don't disturb us. Like it wasn't something especially with Badrishil, I just thought not good enough. But my takeaway from this is clearly Liverpool are a better team than Chelsea in regards to their defense, midfield, but attacking, very good. So you can see the experience there and how Liverpool ran out this game. Scoring 2 goals, defending well, and that really brought the points home for you. But slightly, I have to say, I was impressed with how Chelsea handled the game. The fact that they played without fear, passing the ball from the back, dominating the midfield. Up front, they needed more up front, I have to say. But honestly, the game turned out how you would expect it to.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was an expected Liverpool win. I think the timing of the winner is absolutely everything in a game like that. Obviously, it was like a VAR decision. Jackson's goal counted, and then instead of Liverpool panicking, instead of Liverpool letting the game get stretched, instead of like Liverpool letting Chelsea build on that equalizer, within 4 minutes they go for the punch. And it's one of those ones where when you're a goal up and then a team equalizes and then you go a goal up again, it's almost like a reset. So you're almost back to, it's almost like 1-0 again. Do you know what I mean? Where you have that kind of that 1 goal cushion. You don't need to kind of do anything too risky to like stretch the game or vice versa, you know? So very well taken goal. Good setup from Salah. Very well taken goal from Curtis Jones. I totally agree, man. I think Chelsea are a good team. I think Chelsea will compete for top 4 this year. I think their back 5, besides maybe Tosin, is still absolutely scandalous. Robert Sanchez isn't a number 1 goalkeeper. I think Reece James, just from a fitness perspective, I don't know if we're ever going to see him be any better than we've currently seen. Malo Gusto and Cucurella, take your pick at left back, you know. But the context of what we saw a couple of hours ago with City winning a last minute goal, the context of obviously Arsenal losing the night before, it was just imperative that Liverpool won, you know. Like, it's a results business at the end of the day, by any means, you know what I mean? And I feel as if it was a deserved victory. Palmer's obviously one of the hottest players in the league at the moment. You guys more or less kind of nullified him all game. So credit to you guys for doing that. And it was definitely a test on paper, but it was a win I expected Liverpool to get, and they did.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, totally agree. I think there's one thing that I want to disagree with Shalom there in terms of like the midfield battles between the two teams. I felt like in the first 30, yes, they had the better of us, the midfield for sure. But as I explained earlier, I thought that was a Soboslai thing where he was getting fisted up by Lavia and Caicedo. Like, this was like Vegeta, Goku. Like, they were beating him up. But I think once we like started to play more, and once obviously Curtis Jones because I think he was very key in our midfield. Once he started getting comfortable, that in turn made Gravenberg get comfortable. So I think like there were spells between both teams where the midfield took ascendancy. Obviously, when Lavia went off, that was for us a thing where like they didn't necessarily again had a controller from deep again. So that nullified that part in their system. Whereas then Gravenberg, that's when Gravenberg started playing more, because when Lavia was on, it was kind of like Gravenberg was hiding, Jones was doing a lot of the defensive work, trying to nullify Cole Palmer, which he did very, very, very well, to be honest. He was on Cole Palmer's toes. So I think, you know, in terms of like the midfield battles, you have to look at it in spells. The first 30, definitely. The last 15 in the first half, we had it. Then off the back, coming back after the break, they had it again. But then after we scored the 2-1, I felt like it was all us. And it was all us. Jones was in his bag. Gravenberch started getting in his bag as well. McAllister came in, and then you saw, like, obviously the levels were raised almost immediately, man. So, but other than that, yeah, I agree with you guys. I just wanted to talk. Obviously, this is obviously relevant to you guys as well, in regards to your games. A few talking points. So obviously, after 6 minutes, Colwill grabs Jota and takes him down. Referee gives the yellow. VAR doesn't get involved. What do you guys think? Obviously, in the context of what you've seen, try and be objective. In the context of what you've seen the night before, try and be as objective as possible. What do you guys think?
Man, you said it yourself. VAR doesn't get involved.
I'm just saying. I'm just talking.
No.
I'm just talking about what happened.
You've said it yourself. VAR doesn't get involved, but
yeah,
when it comes to us, VAR gets involved. It's crazy, man. It's really crazy. I feel like the bigger conversation to have is just the standard of refereeing in this country. We keep having this conversation over and over and over and over again. It's crazy how we especially the Prem boasts itself to play the best football, quote unquote, the more attractive football, but we have referees that's just subpar. So yeah, I don't think
situation. Let's talk about that situation.
Yeah. I'm going to just the lack of consistency, right? So if you are giving a red card to Saliba for that situation, then you have to apply the same law that you've applied to Saliba to the Colwill situation. For me, that yellow card just confirms that the referee knew that wasn't a red card, or that yellow card against Saliba should have stood. Do you understand? Because it's not being applied consistently.
Do you think there was a difference though in terms of like how one-on-one Jota was versus Evan Nielsen?
Not really, because look at the part of the pitch where the foul itself was committed. It's similar to Saliba, right?
It's a few yards behind. It's a few yards.
It's
Jota was on the halfway line.
For me, I think both decisions were actually correct. Like, I mean, obviously, I haven't had time to review them. I always try and when we look at decisions, I always try to think if the decision went against my team, how would I feel about that situation? Like the moment that Saliba got the yellow, I was like, wow, he's actually got lucky there when I watched the replay, because unfortunately, and I also think and I don't know if this is something that they use to apply when they apply like the professional foul rule, but Ben White wasn't getting back. Like, I don't think Ben White was going to be able to kind of get back. But for me, the Chelsea decision was correct, because as well as it being a little bit further back, I could see a covering defender, and that there was too many kind of variables to still happen for it to be like a red card, professional foul. The Arsenal one, I mean, respectfully, like, and it's frustrating.
We'll get into that.
Yeah,
let's stick to the.
But I think it was two correct decisions personally in it. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, man. Like, you know, I think the Colwill one, I looked at it, obviously, as the Liverpool fan, you're screaming red immediately, send him off. But obviously, looking at it, you saw Colwill was extremely close. Jota is not the quickest, you know what I mean? That's another thing as well. Plus, he was on the halfway line. Colwill was extremely close to Jota, so he could have possibly taken him out himself or, you know, cut across. I think on the other side as well, there was also another defender that could have cut across as well. So I don't think, you know, the situations are the same. Plus, Jota was on the halfway line. Evan Nielsen was way in
couple
front.
Of yards into the
half. So yeah, I mean, yeah, yellow was fair, to be honest. 6 minutes into the game as well. You're putting a game in the spliff if you're sending him off there. But it was a donkey moment for Colwill, regardless. Penalty moments. Early on, I think earlier than the Colwill moment, I think Trent stepped on Jadon Sancho's foot. He went down. That also didn't go to VAR, I think.
That doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't get me wrong. I know there was actually no intent whatsoever from Trent, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
like, if I'm looking at the replay, Sancho's actually chopped him to go back towards the ball, and he's not been able to go towards the ball because Trent has stepped on his foot. Like, it's a penalty all day, but it's just one of those weird ones that it's not given on the pitch. So VAR, like, okay, well, today we're not gonna intervene. Like, for me, that's a stonewall penalty. Like, as soon as I saw it, like, yeah. But yeah,
so
VAR should have intervened.
VAR doesn't intervene on a clear and obvious foul or error. But then see
But
where
their reasoning was
frustration
it wasn't
comes
clear
from.
and obvious.
It's
Their reasoning was
we
it wasn't
all
clear and
we
obvious.
all seen this, and it's clear and obvious, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Anyways,
and then my last point. What did you guys think of, like, obviously Shalom kind of alluded to it before, but like if you can just elaborate on like Lavia, the pivot of Lavia, Caicedo, but also in the second half mostly Jones and Gravenberch. Like, how did you like the styles? Because for me, it was just a joy to watch, especially those four midfielders. Those are, I know we'll be talking about Declan Rice and whatever, but for me, it's more like a stylistic thing where I prefer my sixes midfielders to do what these four do. Not so much Jones, but Jones was very good today, but more so the other three that I was speaking about. Amazing. If you can elaborate.
No, I enjoyed it, especially Lavia's style of play. I just liked, he gives me that, early Thomas Partey, that when he just drops his shoulder and takes it the other way, that style, you're just like, that's just beautiful to watch. Yeah, he just gives me that feeling of, this is a technical bowler, someone who understands space, someone who is very comfortable on the ball, someone who just stylistically is just elegant. So I was very impressed with him. I liked Caicedo as well. He's got that engine, that power. I think especially with Lavi and Caicedo, what they need is time to grow. And just the more they play in this team, the more they will get better. So you can see it.
Play together as well.
Together.
Forget that Enzo. Forget that Donny, and play Lavia. And obviously Lavia is very injury prone. So let's see how his fitness. But like, those two, scary, man.
But with Gravenberch and what's his name? He just mentioned Jones.
Jones, CJ.
Yeah, Curtis. Curtis is an interesting one. Like, clearly he's got the talent. Clearly the coach see it, but I don't know if on the future he has to really step up. But Gravenberch, that six, the converting to a six has been a moment of brilliance, or from Slot's behalf. He's clearly comfortable there. He does his best work. It's as if he can see the pitch from behind, and that makes him a lot more comfortable in making decisions quicker and just acting better, and it pays
Creates
a lot.
Immediate overloads. Immediate overloads as well.
That too. So in regards to Ryan Gravenberch and Curtis Jones, Curtis, I think he needs to give me more before I say that this is a good pairing. But Gravenberch, I think you guys did well and convert him to a six.
Yeah, I don't think the Jones one is going to be a long-term pairing, but I just felt like today he had an interesting game. I think what Nevin said in the group chat, that's Jones's Achilles heel for most of his Liverpool career, that he always plays with like the handbrake. He plays like a player that just came from the academy and he wants to play it safe all the time.
Yeah.
Bro, you've been a first team player for 4 seasons now. Like, let it rip, play the pass, do what you need to do. You know what I mean? We all know that you know how to keep a ball, you know how to dribble, you know how to beat. We know that you can do that, but be a bit more daring. And this is all that we're asking from Jones.
One thing I'll say with Jones is the position he takes are very good. It's just he doesn't have the end product to take that step further. Yeah. Right? So clearly he's got everything you require for a midfielder, for him to be a good midfielder, but he's a bit frustrating. For example, that penalty, you'll probably ask him to shoot quicker, right? Yeah, so
the offside goal.
Offside, yeah.
Pass it first time to Salah. Why are you dillying?
Exactly. So he's a frustrating player with bags of ability. I guess the question is, does he have the confidence? And confidence is a major thing with these players.
Yeah. Toast, man. 2 pence.
Yeah, I echo your sentiments on both sides, to be honest. Yeah, obviously the Lavia situation, and I've been like quite a big critic of Caicedo since he's made that move to Chelsea, and I always just feel as if every time he plays alongside Enzo, it doesn't seem to work. But I don't know, man. There were elements in that game where I was like, you know what? them man were hooping, man. Like they were making some, and it was one of those ones where for me there was no dilly dallying on the ball. It was quick passes out to the wings, quick passes through the channels. Obviously, I think it was Caicedo who actually set up Jackson's goal. And if I'm gonna be honest, out of everything that I've liked about his profile, is that pass. I know he always has always had that in his locker, like from kind of more or less anywhere on the pitch. It's not necessarily like a long 40-yard ball, but it's like a quick ball's in front of me, get it out of my feet, forward. You know what I mean? Into a good position. So got to big up Caicedo. Got to even give him credit when it's due. Completely agree that Lavia can't stay fit, but I definitely feel as if just from that small sample size, if them two continue to play together, that could be like the starting pairing for Chelsea, man. On the Liverpool end, gotta give Gravenberch his props, man. I mean, like he was looking like any squad player, in my opinion, last year, but he's been very consistent so far this year. He's looked very, very good. Curtis Jones, again, I like the positions he was kind of taking up, even though I know, like, I think Zoboslai kind of started in the 10. I kind of felt as if almost there were times where Jones was obviously popping up in that position, and obviously you want to see a midfielder in his position get in the box the way he did for his goal. With him, I'm still like, I've never really seen CJ as the guy that's going to take Liverpool to the promised land, personally. I don't think he's a bad player. I've never said he's like a bad player. I just don't think he's like a proper no, hear me out. I don't think CJ is a needle mover, and I still personally, I don't think he's always fit enough, which maybe like plays into like him not always having been in the best form when he kind of comes back into the team. That's definitely one thing. But two, I mean, I still don't think he is like that needle moving midfielder for Liverpool personally, innit, man? And I will need to see more. We're only in game week 8, game week 7. So yeah, man. I mean, I'm a reserved judgment, but they complement each other very well today. I'll give them that. Yeah.
Toast, don't you think he has the ability though? It's not like he doesn't have the ability and he's just making it up for like running, for example, Henderson.
I mean,
right?
The thing about Curtis Jones is like, he's been in Liverpool's first team for quite a few years now. I can't really think of games fine, but I can't think of a stretch where I'm like, you know what? Okay, yeah, this guy is legit. I see the hype sort of thing, and that might be a combination of form, and it might be a combination of health as well. But that's just kind of where I've always stood on CJ on CJ in it. So I still would like to see more before I'm ready to give him the keys to Anfield, in it, man. So yeah, man.
Yeah, that's fair. Doubt that will come though, but that's fair. But he's an excellent squad player for sure. But yeah, 3 points in the bag for Liverpool. That's 21 points, I think. Yeah, man, 3 points and on our way to Leipzig and then the Emirati next week. Let's move on to the rest of the games then. The lunchtime kickoff was between Spurs and West Ham. And to be honest, man, that game disappointed me because I don't know why I expect the Lopetegui team to do a madness, but I expected West Ham to win that game, but they just got moved to 4-1, man, which just annoyed me. But yeah.
I don't know what's going on with West Ham this year, man. They're not competitive right now, man. It's crazy.
But they have a very competitive team. Like,
do you have any sympathy? I don't have any sympathy for them.
Yeah, of course. The way they handle David Moyes.
Exactly.
It's hard.
You reap what you sow, so good luck.
Yeah. Congratulations, Spurs, of course. Obviously, after that loss against Brighton. Horrible. And then the 3 p.m. kickoffs, Fulham lost their home to Aston Villa. Aston Villa came back from 1-0 down. The usual suspects, Rodgers, Watkins, with the goals. Then I think there was an own goal somewhere as well. United back to winning ways, beating Brentford 2-1. Garnacho and Højlund. What do you call it? The Acne Ed Sheeran or something?
Acne Chris Wood, man.
Oh, Chris Wood. Acne Chris Wood. Yeah, but Højlund, very good goal, man. I was very impressed with that goal because I thought he was just going to hit it, but he dinked it. It was a nice dink, man. So, and Brentford,
I don't take anything serious that's going on in Greater Manchester, man. Like, bro, like these guys are winning on the weekend and they're moving up to 11th, bro. Come on, man. What are we doing there, man? Like, until United
that's because of you, man, bro. That's because of you, man. If you didn't lose, then obviously they would have. But yeah. Anyways, man. Yeah. From 14th to 11, that's improvement, isn't it? So
crazy jump.
Crazy jump, man. Brentford with the L. And then Newcastle lost at home to Brighton. Welbeck again on the score sheet. Brighton manager doing good business. Southampton lost against Leicester after being 2-0 up, I think. 2-0, right?
Yeah.
Brighton, Jordan Ayew with the final goal. Chat to me about your former goalie, man, because I didn't see the game. Last goal, the Jordan Ayew goal, that one was just, come on.
I didn't see the game either, innit, man, but Poison follows that brother everywhere, man. Like, bro, so, like, for me, Southampton's the worst, a team that's trying to stay up, and we know his, like, relegation record, innit, man? So, hey, man, Godspeed.
Yeah, man. Like, even, like, there was the Jamie Vardy penalty for the 2-2. The ball was already behind the net, and that's when he started diving. It's mad. Ipswich lost at home to Everton, and Dye and Keane with Keane. I don't know if you saw Keane's goal, but hit it roof of the net. And then we'll go to the 6 p.m. game. Bournemouth against Arsenal. Lots happened in that game as well. Obviously, Arsenal away game at Bournemouth. It's never easy, but you'd expect Arsenal to win that game, to leave with all 3 points. But for me, on the back of your last 2 home games against Leicester and Southampton, in my head, I thought Bournemouth can do business here. I can't lie, especially at home under the lights. Yeah, chat to me, man. What have you, like, from beginning to end in 1 minute, if you can?
All right, mate, so I'll go in it, man. Like, for me, this game, coming into this game, obviously understanding that there's no Saka, understanding that there's no Odegaard, that we're playing Trossard, Havertz, and Sterling in a free. Marino is going to kind of get extended minutes. I came into this game thinking the margin for error is basically 0, basically. Like, we are good enough defensively to keep it a low-scoring, defensive sort of game that we have come to know Arteta to do. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, don't put yourself in a hole. Don't make any self-inflicted mistakes, and you probably do escape Bournemouth with a win. And I expected us to win. Didn't happen, man. Like, Trossard, and he's one of my favorite players at Arsenal, but like, you can't put your centre back in a hole. And hindsight's 2020. He should have stayed on his feet. He shouldn't have panicked. I completely understand that, but as a footballer and as a defender, like, your first instinct is to duel, to try and win the ball. So I'm sure if Saliba had a couple more seconds, he probably would have thought, what?
Do you think Van Dijk would have done that?
Possibly.
Academia,
it could have happened. It could have happened 100%. Because it's one of those ones where I genuinely think Saliba had less time to think
about it.
And he had more time to actually think
about it. The ball literally puts everyone on the back foot. Like, the ball puts everyone on the back foot. Go ahead, Toes.
And literally within like, don't get me wrong, he has to take obviously some of the blame for it, but like, I'm not putting the fact that he got sent off on him. I'm putting it on the fact that he got put in almost like a I don't have a choice kind of situation here, and he had to think on his feet very, very quickly. And as well as that, he's probably thinking it probably is a yellow card offense as well. Like, I mean, like, in real time, he's probably thinking, okay, we're like just past the halfway line. I can probably kind of get something on the man. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, and the referee sent him off. And like I alluded to earlier, I have no problems with that, because if that happened against my team, I want the guy to go, especially when Ben White, being the closest defender, was not catching Evan Nielsen, or was not going to be able to get across. So for me,
question, I can't remember. Did Evan Nielsen take a touch, or did the ball come across him? Did he take a touch?
No, the ball came. Or
did it come across him?
It came across him, and then Saliba just touches him, then he falls, I believe.
Exactly. So if it came across him, exactly. That's why I don't understand Saliba's decision. If he took a touch and then pushed it, then okay, I can kind of get it, because you want to stop him in his stride. But you can even gamble on the bounce. You know what I mean? That the ball, I don't know, man. I just felt like Saliba could have made a different decision. But I hear you guys point that obviously Trossard, the pass that Trossard made was a woeful.
Yeah,
I totally get that point. But
for me, I don't want to be overly critical on Saliba, because like, defending is very, very instinctual. Do you know what I mean? So like, and we see it a lot, even in like not one-on-one situations. Like, defenders, they engage with their man even before they're set because you know what, they want to be aware of all of their surroundings. Unfortunately, we know that in that situation, if you get it wrong, you're going to get penalized to the full extent of the law. And unfortunately, he could have no complaints to actually get sent off. So for me, already, we've put ourselves in a hole. And what did I say coming into the game? Like, we have to minimize the mistakes, and we can't. Our margin for error is very, very little.
Okay, so let me stop you there. So at that point, it's still 0-0, right? You go down with 10 men. Granted, it's a centre back. It's one of your centre backs that goes off. But calm. You're still Arsenal. At that point, do you still expect to win that game? What were your thoughts?
You expect not to
because
lose.
For me, exactly. Because for me, even prior to that, Bournemouth were playing well. You guys were not like.
There's a couple of points. There's a couple of points I want to make on this one, innit? Like, when we went to go down, looking at who we had currently playing, I was like, we're probably only going to win this game by like either like we're going to get one like clear chance in that game which we had, and that's one way to win the game. The other way to win the game was via a set piece. But I'm looking at no Saka, no Odegaard. We're getting to our third string kind of set piece taker, Rice, who's obviously he's not left-footed, he's more of an outswinging free kick from the right side. So I wasn't feeling overall great. However, I didn't think that Bournemouth were displaying the quality from an offensive standpoint to really kind of hurt us, if I'm honest.
Agreed.
So I give a lot of credit to the manager for obviously bringing on Kluivert, and I think he brought on was it Otara? But he made a double substitution basically, which from an offensive standpoint it definitely gave Sinistera and obviously Kluivert came on. And it definitely, and Christie as well, and it obviously kind of gave them a boost. I'm not going to be overly critical on the first Bournemouth goal because as you know, if you actually work on set pieces, they can be a very, very effective tool. Like Arsenal get criticised for it a lot, but you could clearly see that the set piece was something that they'd implemented on the training ground, and it was a very well taken goal. He's hit it on the half, not half volley, but he's hit it bouncing towards him, top bins on his left foot. I have no complaints about that goal. And at that point, we have to try and figure a way to get back in the game. What can't happen is what Kiwior did. Kiwior was acting like he's never played football before, bro. Like, brother, like you've got your back to the defender. The ball has to reach Raya, bro. And we know, and even the penalty, I have no complaints about the penalty because Raya's not engaged him. But in that situation, all the striker has to do is get contact on the ball and engage the goalkeeper. And if the striker gets the first touch and engages the goalkeeper with a touch, it's a pen. So I can't again have any complaints. For me, that is another self-inflicted wound. There was every possibility we still could have got something out of that game at 1-0.
Before all that happened, before the penalty, before the Christie's goal, Kepa put it on a platter.
Yeah,
he did, man. And like people will can always consistently say, "Nah, we don't need a striker." This, that. Like the reason I say that Arsenal need that 9 is because in the games where you have a man sent off and maybe you're a goal down, or maybe it's a tight game and it's a 1-goal game, you need someone who's going to finish. And I know Martinelli has scored in the last couple of weeks, but Martinelli's overall confidence level from in a one-on-one situation, I don't have any trust or faith that he's going to deliver in that situation. Put Havertz in that situation, it would have been the same outcome. These are the sort of games where you need that Haaland, do you know what I mean? You need that centre forward that's just going to take one chance. And if we score the first goal, if we open the scoring in that game, it could be a completely different game, do you know what I mean? And we saw how the game went, man. So, yeah, man, it was a game of fine margins. Bournemouth, good value for their victory. Can't take anything away from them. We definitely deserve to lose. We need to stop being deluded about our squad and actually understand the squad that we actually have. And we're down Saka right now. We're down Odegaard. We're gonna be down Saliba for the Liverpool game. Like, it's not looking great. Like, and as strong as our 11 is, our squad isn't great. Like, I've not seen enough right now from Mourinho to convince me that, you know what, there's a starting level ability there. Sterling, again, to my surprise, I feel like the hunger's there, but the application hasn't really been there. Like, I feel like he wants to play, he wants to kind of have an impact, but I've just not seen it translate into like goals, assists, and like consistent play. He's had some stints on the left wing. He obviously played right wing today. Just it's been tough for him, man. But we're gonna need our squad more than ever, man, because obviously it's the biggest game of the season next week. But I think we have enough within the whole squad to bounce back, man, and we absolutely have to. It's a must-win game, with or without like our some of our shooters. We're going to be down potentially 3 of our most important players, probably 2. I expect Saka to probably be fit.
I think Saka will be back. I think he'll be back.
But Saliba and Odegaard obviously massive misses. But as long as we don't have Kiwior at centre back, I'm still confident that we go and win that game, because Kiwior's like a fucking Polish Rob Holding, man. Like, I just don't understand how we keep on making mistakes on these same players. Like, you ask a man to come in to fill in, you get brought on after a centre back gets sent off. And look at the mistakes you're making, bro. This is fucking it's schoolboy, man. Like, it's amateur hour.
Shalom.
That can't happen. Can't happen.
What's your thoughts on whatever Toe said, man? If you
well, mostly I do agree with Toast. I've had 2 days to think about it, and ultimately we just have to charge this and move on, because we got Liverpool next week to play. We're obviously missing Saliba. We have to rectify that issue because Liverpool won't play around. So we have those things on our mind and things we need to rectify to play Liverpool. There's clearly an issue with creativity within Arsenal's squad right now, missing Saka and missing Odegaard. A lot of people did say that there was an opportunity to play Wanyeri. Of course, you don't really want to play in a 17-year-old away to Bournemouth. And
why not?
Arteta, you know,
I hate those arguments because you got Lamine Yamal. Trent was 18. His first game was Champions League. If he's good enough, he's old enough.
Home to Liverpool, fair enough. But Bournemouth away, play him. In my opinion,
okay, and to a point, I do agree, because whenever he's come on, he's just shown us that he can handle this level. So Arteta has to take a lot of criticism on that point, because he can't be playing in midfield of Mourinho, Partey, and Rice.
Facts.
It's just a.
I'm happy you pointed that out.
Yeah, it's
can't happen.
It's a midfield that lacks creativity, and that really stifles the way we play. So I think in a run of a season, there are games that teach you massive lessons, and Bournemouth is one. The lessons we have to take away is, I honestly believe that, I know you guys, especially Liverpool fans and other fans, do not want to hear this. I think the referees are onto us. The way they apply the law, they really apply it when it comes to Arsenal. So you don't give a referee the chance, because they will take it and you will be screwed, right? So one, you don't give a referee a chance to get to send you off, because to make that decision, because once we're playing with 10 men, it's very difficult to win a game, right? 2, Arsenal need to provide or figure out a way to be creative going forward without Odegaard and Saka. It just has to happen. And 3, if you want to win this league, you can't be making dumb mistakes. Those are my 3 takeaway from this game. And sometimes you need a wake-up call. And I believe, and I would hope to think, that this game was a wake-up call for Arteta and Arsenal players, because it can't happen.
You know what's so crazy about this league, yeah? Like, just going off topic a little bit, it's like, it's similar to like the La Liga in like between 2008 and probably like 2015, where the margin for error, that's why people are stressed, because you lose one game, you think like you lost the season, because you've got like a City who just juggernaut their way through, and then you have like Arsenal, Liverpool, who are capable of putting similar runs. So you can't lose too many points. Drawing is a myth. Losing is a myth. So
because when you clock it, Clock, you beat Bournemouth, right? And that's 3 points in the bag. Possibly you can afford to lose or draw to Liverpool, right? And you can say, okay, cool, let's move on. But now you have to beat Liverpool to catch up with that, because it'll be 7 points ahead of you. So
City won the league. City won the league last season without beating any of us, but they beat the teams that they had to beat. And this is what I think Liverpool and Arsenal need to learn. We're not there yet. Liverpool did it for one season and won the league, but in the seasons where we've lost the league, obviously that one season we lost to City, but in the other season where we lost the league with 1 point, it was because we dropped silly points to teams that we should have beaten. And Arsenal, you guys could say the same thing as well. So
last season we did the same. Last season we did the same. The West Ham game. What else? The Fulham game.
Villa.
The Villa game. Yeah. So it's clear we haven't learned that lesson, and we need to learn it really quick.
So just a quick preview then to next week then. So obviously, like now it's like you just alluded to, it's there's more pressure on Arsenal now because it can quickly turn from 4 points to 7 points. And I know it's still game week 8, but like we just mentioned, the margin for error is too. Yes, you can think like, okay, maybe we'll catch up to Liverpool, but that other team in Greater Manchester, if you lose them in it. So you don't want to be behind them. So what are your thoughts? Because Tosin obviously is saying that even though he's slightly worried, he still expects to win.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mace?
Honestly, from what I've seen of Liverpool today, I'm not afraid. But like I'm not afraid, but if we're bringing the form we brought on Saturday to next week game, then I'm worried. But if we play the same way we've been playing this season and last season, I think we have enough for you guys. That's really it.
Well, without Odegaard and Saliba.
Without Odegaard, yes. Without Saliba, I think it would be us. Because who are you playing? Jota just went out injured. So is he going to be fit for next game? If it is, then it'll
probably be Diaz. It'll probably be Diaz, Darwin, and Salah.
Then we're good.
Saying,
honestly, with that newness, we're calm.
Arsenal have a back four of Timber, Calafiori, White, and Gabriel. It's business as usual. Saliba's massive, don't get me wrong. It's going to be a huge miss, but as long as we have that back four fit.
Elaborate on business as usual. So what's business as usual? So your shot is out.
As in business as usual from a defensive perspective. Like, because if we don't have that back four, I'm going to be nervous. It's going to affect the team from top to bottom. So I'm going to be nervous about how we're going to be able to play throughout the 90. But I'm confident that back four, we might give up a goal, but I'm confident that they'll play well enough for us to still be able to win the game. So, yeah, man.
Like, one second. It might actually consider putting Rice as a CB. I know you might like that, Drew, because you've been screaming that for a time. But, bro, and then just play Partey Marino.
Chill,
fam. That would be better than Kiwior. That would be better than Ben White. But
just because I don't want to see two left backs playing like centre backs. That's just two LCB playing centre back. I don't like the pairing. It's just imbalance. So now we have to play Duran Timber, who is injured at the moment in a high stake. Yeah, he's injured at the moment in a high stakes game. So there's a lot of contemplations to be made.
But for me though, between two left-footed centre backs and playing Kiwior.
Oh no.
You played the two left-footed centre backs, bro. Like you can't just, bro. This is not amateur hour, bro. We're going for a league title, bro. Look at the mistakes that people are making, man. It's it's unacceptable, man. Like, he has to. I'll drop him just for that, bro. Like, this is like, come on, we're not a fucking relegation level team, bro. Like that mistake cannot happen at any level of football for what we're trying to achieve this season, bro. It's scandalous, man. So yeah, man, he needs the whole bench for that, man.
And to be fair to Arteta, he removed Kiwior after that mistake.
Yes, so, as he should. It's ridiculous, man.
Should, yeah, to be fair. So fair enough.
I think from a Liverpool perspective, I think like we can be fairly confident. The only thing that I'm worried about next week's game is that it's going to be a cat and mouse thing. Because I think that Arteta will not come out to play. I think that Liverpool will also not necessarily, will probably approach it the way we approach Chelsea today. However, I understand the Chelsea approach because their front six is very potent, especially behind your back and with Madueke, Palmer, etc. I think with Arsenal, I don't necessarily see that. So I don't see any reasons for us to play like that, but we're playing away. We have to respect the Emirati. So I think it's going to be a cat and mouse thing. I think it's going to be like low scoring, 1-0 or 2-1. But at the same time, I think our attack would be way too much for your back line. And I think that
Without
will
Jota,
ultimately...
I disagree with Jota.
I
Then
know,
I'll
to be honest,
agree.
I think the Jota thing is like, you know, for the past couple of games, he hasn't really been a factor like that. I think Salah on his own, he's just prime time, and this is just his time, innit? So with him alone, I'm confident. I think Luis Diaz as well. Like, if he gets your fullback on a 1-on-1, it's scary times. And then Darwin, we just have to see. You don't know what you're gonna get from him. You just have to see it. So I'm not without Saliba, especially. I'm personally not worried neither. I think for us it's important to not lose, so we could either go there and draw, and hopefully we'll go for a win. But all the pressure will be for Arsenal, because you guys need to win to keep pace in it. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game. I predict the cat and mouse.
I get on paper that the pressure is on us, but I'll be real. Like, I don't feel as if the team should feel pressure getting into this game, like, because we have a very good record the last couple of seasons in this iteration of the team against Liverpool at home. We have a very good record at home, period. You know what I mean? Like, we're confident about beating anyone at home given the circumstance. So for me, fine. Yeah, you don't want to lose for sure. You don't want to go 7 points clear, but I don't feel as if Arsenal are going into this game feeling pressure. Like, what pressure is there? Like, it's still the same team. We're still Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man. For me, it's like, lick your wounds, like childish L, and you go again. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man.
All right, man. Let's see, man. Let's see. And then obviously the first game on Sunday was Wolves versus Manchester City. Another controversial thing that happened. I mean, depending on who you ask, of course, but obviously Wolves opened up the scoring, and then from then they started. They parked the bus essentially, and then the City pressure just mounted on them. Guardiola with a brilliant strike, top bins. That guy he's so good, man. I really like him.
Cold.
Teched up.
He's cold.
And he's left-footed, So that was his weak foot.
Yeah.
Apparently,
he's teched up, bro.
Yeah.
He's teched up. And then Stones as well, the last minute header. I see it both ways. One way, you saw that Bernardo Silva was, backing into Jose Sa and trying to put him off. And then obviously but that was when the ball was in the air. But once there was a connection, Bernardo Silva ducked. So essentially, Jose Sa had a clear view and could have made the save. That's what people are saying. That's how the referees are saying. That's why the goal was given. For me,
go on.
Go on to us.
You know what I found really weird about that whole situation, and someone like pointed out on Twitter, like, because obviously we can see what the referee is seeing. For some reason, it looked like they didn't show the referee one of the views. All the camera angles didn't basically show what Bernardo Silva basically did in terms of backing into the goalie. And while I still feel as if he did eventually kind of get out of the way, if the referee made the decision to actually disallow the goal, I would, just based on that replay, I would understand, because essentially what happened was he backs into him, and then a second later he has to basically be ready to receive a header. And for me, he wasn't set anymore because of the fact that he got backed into. It's completely different if you're set on the line and somebody is or isn't in your line of sight. So for me, and again, like, City got quite lucky in my opinion, but what I don't understand is, why would the referee not be shown all angles? Because context is everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, you saw the different angles. The Robert Sanchez, Curtis Jones penalty decision, I thought it was a penalty at first, but one of the angles clearly showed that he got the ball. So for me, help the referees out here. Do you know what I mean? Give them all the angles, and maybe it might be a different outcome. And that was just my only takeaway from that.
Yeah, totally agree, man. But I think City, they've had these types of offside interference always go for them, like never against them. And a lot of teams have had it against them, but City, more times than not, they always have it going for them. So that's why I was like, extra upset about it. But at the end of the day, man, the City, I think the way the game was played out, they deserved it. So yeah, they're on 20 points, second place. Yeah, let's move on, man, to other topics that happened during the break. Thomas Tuchel has been announced as England manager. The German manager has taken over from Gareth Southgate, who left his job after the Euros. Tuchel's officially starting in January, so that means that what's his name? Carsley. Lee Carsley. Yeah, he'll be in charge during the November break. Let's not discuss the other stuff yet, but Thomas Tuchel as the manager, do you think he's the one to deliver? Obviously, he's got the task of delivering the World Cup. Is he the guy to do it?
He's got the necessary experience, so I just don't know. I think I just believe England are cursed, right? So it's going to take a hell of a manager to break that curse and get them winning. That's all I have to say. But if he can, I think a good start is playing exciting and progressive football. If he can at least show that and do that, then that's a good step for progress. But at the moment, I'm just reserved, man. Let's just see how he gets on.
Honestly, like, I don't feel as if whoever comes in as an England manager ever needs to be this like all worlds kind of manager or like a tactico or anything like that. I need somebody who actually understands what it's going to take to get the best out of the whole squad and all of the players that they have in their arsenal. That's the only way for me England are going to get over the hump. Like, this is another golden generation. Like, I genuinely feel as if this era of England is very similar to like the 06 era of like Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, Neville, Ashley Cole, Campbell, Terry, Owen, Rooney. Like, for me, this is the best iteration of an England squad. Like, you have Premier League Player of the Year, Phil Foden. You have one of the best young players in the world in Bellingham. You have Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world. Cole Palmer, one of the best up and coming young players in England. Bukayo Saka. How do you have all of these players? Declan Rice. How do you have all of these players and you can't put together a run over 2 weeks in a tournament? So for me, as well as Southgate did in terms of like where England's finishes in these tournaments, I still don't ever feel as if like he ever really got the best out of all of those players. Because if you get the best out of all those players, you win. You win these tournaments. You get a bit of luck along the way, but.
Well,
I think
sorry,
it's very easier said.
Let me just slightly. I have to give Southgate his flowers, in the sense of that he has been, in terms of taking England to finals and semi-finals, he's done that more times than his successors or people who he's replaced. So you have to give him his flowers. What England haven't done really well is they haven't taking the boob out of the horn and just shown a little bit of like no fear. Like, whenever they play, you can see the fear there. You can see especially Southgate, you can see how defensive he is. And that really hurt them in regards to the finals. Because let's look at the Italy game final. They took a lead, right? So you've taken the lead. Don't show any fear. Dominate the game. What happened? Nothing. We lost our final. The last final that we just played with Spain. Of course, the Spanish are great football inside. You have to give that to them. But there isn't any sense of, okay, we're English. We're England. We can match you. We can't play the same football, but our type of football. There isn't that, I guess, side of England that you need to see, because that's what winners do. So once you can bring that into the English style, the English way of playing, you will see success. But at the moment, there isn't that. So ultimately, you have to get these boys playing and believe in the way they play is the English way. Because the Germans play the German way. The Spanish play the Spanish way. The French play the French way. What is the English way? There isn't any. And until you find that identity, England wouldn't win anything. That's the way I see it.
Okay, fair enough. And obviously, a lot has been made about like the nationality of managers and people saying that, you know, national team managers should be from the same nation. As soon as Thomas Tuchel was announced, Sky Sports were doing a whole campaign of
Just
why is the
hella
manager
embarrassing,
not
man.
English? Why is he German? He should be this, he should be that. We saw an article of this journalist. I forgot his name. I need to blast him. But this journalist was praising the heavens of Pep Guardiola. 3 days later, Tommy Tuchel gets announced. He's saying, why don't we have an English manager? My thing is this with especially with English media, especially, they just don't like Thomas Tuchel. Because if it was Klopp or if it was Pep Guardiola, they wouldn't have said shit. It would have been celebrated. It would have been, yeah, we need to have foreign managers to have foreign influx. And yeah, Bellingham needs Pep Guardiola. Yeah, Foden needs Klopp. It would have been all of that. But because it's Thomas Tuchel, and despite his like successes that he's had at the clubs that he's been, he's still seen as like a failure. He's still seen as like a manager who hasn't got the best out of his talent. The way he came up as a talented manager, but he hasn't lasted more than 2 seasons at any of his clubs. So that this is something to question. You know what I mean? So I think people are not necessarily. I mean, I'm from a distance. I'm not in England, but people are not necessarily gingered about Thomas Tuchel, and they're trying to blame it on the national the national team manager should be English. What's your guys' thoughts about this? Because this could be a whole episode by itself. But
for me,
Toast.
very quickly, like the long and short of whether or not the manager should be English or not, I don't subscribe to that, and I don't buy into it personally. For me, you pick the best person for the job, number one, and number two, even if you are gonna have the nuance of, okay, we want it to be an England manager, you need to have at least a handful of selections that are English that are viable options. We can probably count on one hand how many potential English managers currently right now could get the England job. And for me, that's not enough. Like I'd say, and again, Eddie Howe, just because of his experience in England and what he's done for Newcastle, fair enough. There's been obviously shouts about Graham Potter. We've not even seen how good Graham Potter can or can't be from a club level, talking about giving Graham Potter the England job. After that, you're picking at scraps. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like the English managers that are really, really proven that can actually go and manage the best of the best in England. So for me, it's one thing to just say we want an English manager, but are there actually viable candidates that you can give the job to that are just take away the fact that they're English, that they'd be a legit manager? If you said, okay, cool, you're an English manager, you go and manage the France national team, would you get the respect of, and what have you done, what you've achieved in your career? Do you get the respect of saying, you know what, yeah, okay, I can manage France, I can manage Germany? If the answer is no, then forget this notion of they need to be English, because at the end of the day, you need somebody who's going to be capable of doing the job. So, yeah, man, that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, facts, man. Yeah, man. So let's see how well Thomas Tuchel will do, and if he can deliver the World Cup for y'all. Y'all know how I feel about Thomas Tuchel, man. Don't bank on it, man.
Also, just to add, the Lioness won a Euros with a Dutch manager, so go figure.
Exactly. But Dutch managers are better than English managers. Oh, but that proves your point, of course. But let's move on. Obviously, during the break as well, there were several player interviews that happened as well. Obviously, one of them was Paul Pogba. Obviously, last episode we discussed that his suspension has been cut down to 18 months. Last week he decided to do a media tour, inviting several medias and just doing up interviews. I don't know. Did you guys manage to have a look, see, hear? What's your guys' takeaways?
Just clips. I've not seen like the full kind of interviews, but I love Paul Pogba anyway, man. So I'm obviously kind of happy to see him come back, man. And yeah, man, let's just see where the next move is, really, man. Like, I don't really have that much more to say on that one.
Yeah, I think what was said, the main takeaways was that obviously the medicine that he took was like a supplement. He wasn't aware he was given it by a doctor. He said he double checked it, but he possibly should have triple checked it in terms of the ingredients. It wasn't used to enhance his performance, but it was used to just as a supplement, like any vitamin D, E, Z supplement that you use. That's what he thought it was. But obviously, as a sports person, you get drug tested every day, so you need to make sure you know what to put in your body. But he got it from a trusted source in it, so I think that's what CAS took into account, and that's why they put his suspension down. We talked about his time at United and double standards, and just his overall comeback as well, where they were talking about it. I think it was announced, Juventus officially announced that they're not gonna retain him after the season, so he needs to go look for another club. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a Qatar Saudi thing, man. I don't know if any European team will gamble on him, to be fair. And then obviously we had Human's Ben White as well. He's on Amazon Prime. I didn't watch the whole thing, but my takeaway is that guy seems boring, man. He just seems like an absolute, like, he's just dead. Like, not dead, but he just seems very, very boring.
My guy, you're a hater, man. Stop hating.
Bro, he seems boring, man.
This guy just said, after football, I leave it away from my door. I go into my house. My family don't talk about football. I don't talk about football. We don't watch anything. We just relax. That is probably the most healthy thing I've heard from a footballer in ages. Like football.
I have no qualms.
Yeah, football doesn't have to take over your life.
I have no qualms about whether or not
if you take it as like a job, like me,
which he does.
Because for me, that's the main point. For me, the main point is Ben White is very, very consistent. Number one on the pitch, and number two, he's a perfect professional in terms of everything that he brings to the game. So I have no qualms about whether or not he chooses to love ball. I get it. Like us as fans, us as viewers, we see football as entertainment. So I completely understand. Ben White, it's his job. At the end of the day, he's the one going through the grind of having to maintain a fitness level throughout the season, having to watch his weight, having to watch what he eats. So if he wants to switch off from football completely because he wants to be professional and just keep it that way, I'm good with it, man. As long as it's not affecting like your performances on the pitch. And I know we used to run jokes on him when he wasn't that good about how he should be watching tapes on all of these wingers. But to be fair, man, he's improved.
He says he does that.
Yeah, he says he does that.
There we go. He watches tapes. He knows every single winger in the league. But
so there we go, man.
That's probably the tapes that the analyst people give him. That's not that's not Donny doing homework.
That's all he needs, man.
The point he makes, which was very a salient point, was he said, I get to face the best players in every team day in, day out. And when you really clock it, it shows how important a right back is, because they get to face the best of the best from your team in every match. Apart from Salah, who's obviously on the other end of the side of the pitch, but yes, White has a very difficult role to play at Arsenal. He does it extremely well and consistently.
Extremely well, man. Extremely well. Like,
so yes,
I have to
walk your hate, man.
I have to give like
it's not. It doesn't have to be hate, man. I just find him boring. It's my opinion, man. I find him boring. It was just boring. Ben Foster tried to make the interview again. But shout out Ben White, man. You know what I mean? He carved himself a decent and what he said as well, which was funny, where he was like where he was praising Saliba in it, and he admitted that Saliba bails him out a lot. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So obviously, Ben White, kudos to you, but obviously 1v1s, Saliba is there to mop it up for you. You get me?
Saka too. He says he never leaves me one-on-one. He's always back covering for me. And I thought, fair enough.
That terrorism ball suits him, man. And then obviously, the main person that actually got the internet going was Romelu Lukaku, man, because this guy, since that Sky Sports interview he did 2-3 years ago, that cost him his Chelsea career, we ain't seen him. He ain't spoke to the media since. Belgian media is trying to get him on his blower. He's like, nah, he's speaking to y'all. He's speaking to the English media, nothing. But he made a surprise appearance on the Koolcast podcast. which is a Belgian football podcast by you know Belgian Congolese people. Very very good podcast, very good people as well. They do it in Flemish. And he joined their podcast, man, and I found out very very dope of him to actually try to tell a part of his story on that particular platform, you know. And a lot of the Belgian media, English media as well, were hating, thinking like, why not us? Why them? You know how it goes, man. But he didn't really get into the juicy stuff in regards to his Chelsea exit or like too tough on like his United career, but he was talking more about, you know, his recent mental health, because I don't know if you guys clocked, but he hasn't really, the last 2 international games, he hasn't really gone back to Belgium because the negativity around his performances and everything, he said it's got too much for him. He spoke about like the 2022 World Cup, the infamous where he was just shite, but he basically cleared that up and said that he was playing with a knee injury and he actually had to go surgery, but the managers were forcing him basically to play and come and select him. So he just did it for his country. He also discussed about the 2018 World Cup, where he felt like Belgium not deserved, but he felt like that was their tournament to actually win. If you remember, they finished third in that tournament. They were really good, actually. They beat England for the fourth playoff round, I remember. Yeah, man. Did you guys manage? Yeah, it was in Flemish, of course, but I don't know if did you manage to see clips? Or catch anything? Yeah, I just gave an overview of what was said, but it was pretty good, man. And yeah, Lukaku. When you see Lukaku in those settings, remember he had this interview with what's that journalist name again? The woman that came to his house, the American one. So
Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks. Yeah.
That was probably the only one clip I saw from the whole interview, and it's just obviously his like Americanisms in it, man.
Yeah.
That Donny really thinks that he lives or was born in the US, man. I don't know, man. He's a funny guy.
He did one with some American football dudes as well. A couple before the after the 2018 World Cup,
yeah, and some NBA guys actually as well, like Josh Hart and a few other people. I remember.
Yeah, he's good vibes, man. I like him, man. But yeah, shout out Lukaku. He did say he will come back. He will come back on the podcast and he will talk about his Chelsea exit and his United stint, etc. So let's see if he will hold up to that promise, man. Let's head to the bar, gents. Any shots?
I'm broke today, bro.
You know them cartoons where you pull out you can see the white bit inside your pocket, and man, I got no bread right now, man. I ain't got no shots for me today, unfortunately.
Any shots? I ain't got any, to be fair.
I do got a shot, man. Whilst you guys think about it, I just want to shout out Virgil van Dijk, man, because I think that ever since 2018, when he joined Liverpool, he's changed the standard of defending. Whereas we're seeing a defender right now who is basically faultless. And now we're looking at other centre-backs like a Saliba, like a Gabriel. When they make one fault, we chastise them. Konate even, we chastise them. When back in the day, top defenders would make 2-3 mistakes a game and we would still call them top players. Whereas like Van Dijk has set the bar so high, he can go games on games on games without a mistake. And I think during the international break, I deeped it. This is the greatest we've seen. Definitely in this league. Definitely in this league. He's probably the best we've seen because I feel like this guy, hear me out. I feel like this guy, he's so consistently good. Consistently, he doesn't make any he hardly makes any mistake. You hardly leave a game and think like, you don't think like, he's been man of the match. But you don't say like, he had a howler, or he did this, or he did that. You always have to go 20 games back, 10 games back to think of a Van Dijk mistake. You know what I mean? Obviously, you guys will mention the international break, the red card, Let's not force it. But that's like one out of like, you know what I mean? I deeped it, man. He's the best, and I just want to give.
I'm not disputing that at all. I have Van Dijk as number one centre back all time in the Prem as well. Like, I mean, the body of work, like the way he transforms Liverpool into the team they are today. Like he played a huge role in that, man. And yeah, no, I genuinely believe he's number one. And like just from every perspective of defending in the game, like there's no one better. Hey man, no dispute.
So yeah, I just wanted to give him his flowers, man, because he doesn't always get the man of the matches or the awards or whatever, but the individual awards I'm talking about, in every game, but he's been one of our best players and our most consistent player this season, man. So yeah, man, my shot goes to Virgil van Dijk, man, the best. Shalom, you thought about it?
Bro, it's a dry
broke, yeah?
day for me. Broke is
the Gooners are quiet. That's what I like to see, man. Next week, be here, man. Be here. You know what I mean? Thank you very much for joining us. Like Haaland said, man, stay humble, eh? Stay humble.
That boy ain't scored since then, innit, man? So maybe he should start getting back to scoring, innit, man? Rather than waffling, bro.
Hey, man, my name is Andrew, aka Rapping Drew. This was Toast J Mace, and we out. We are the VBP boys. Peace.
In a bit.